What happens when luck hits you like a hurricane, only to leave you drowning in its wake? Imagine winning 6 million euros in the lottery, becoming an overnight star, and then losing everything, including those who truly mattered. Alex's story is an emotional roller coaster, from dazzling luxury to the loneliness of a cold studio apartment where the only happy birthday comes from a dog named Fulgur. Sit back and relax, because this isn't just a story about falling, it's about how sometimes you have to lose everything to find what really matters. Let the adventure begin. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell for more stories that will shake you to your core. The morning woke me with a cold that seemed to have seeped into my bones. I opened my eyes to the same cracked ceiling, listening to the monotonous ticking of the clock. My birthday! The word echoed in my mind like a sinister joke. I reached for my phone, already knowing what I'd find. A black, silent screen, like a tombstone. No messages, no calls. Just silence, heavy and harsh, broken only by Fulgur's breathing as he slept curled up next to the bed, his snout resting on his paws. I named him Fulgur, Lightning, because once, when I was a different man, he used to run through the villa's garden like the wind, jumping fences and catching balls mid-air. Now, in a damp studio apartment, he seemed smaller, as if he had tucked his tail between his legs, sensing the silent weight of our ruin. I got up slowly, avoiding the faded photo on the fridge-me, raising a glass of champagne, surrounded by people who now felt like strangers. I opened the window, hoping the noise from the street would fill the void. The cold air bit my cheeks, but no bicycle bell, no shout reminded me of happy birthday. Just cars rushing by, indifferent. Fulgur came closer, and I petted his head, feeling his fur, now coarser, scratching my palm. When you have money, you have friends, I whispered to myself, glancing at the broken suitcase by the door, my last piece of luggage, filled with clothes that smelled of dust and humiliation. When the phone vibrated, my heart jumped into my throat. I grabbed the device with a sweaty hand, but the screen flashed coldly. Bank notification? Overdue payment, 2,000. I laughed. A short, sharp laugh that turned into a muffled groan as I caught my reflection in the window, a man with sunken eyes, wearing the same shirt for 3 days. Fulgur barked softly, as if trying to say, "At least I'm here." I opened the can of dog food, the pungent smell making my stomach churn. I fed him first, as always. "We're celebrating, aren't we, buddy?" I whispered, rubbing his back as he ate greedily. He wagged his tail, but I knew he didn't understand. He didn't understand why we were in this darkness, or why my hands shook when the phone rang. Through the window, the shadow of an old tree stretched across the wall, its branches dancing like mocking fingers. I closed my eyes and, for a moment, heard the music from those times, the clinking of glasses, fake laughter, promises of eternal friendship. Then I felt Fulgur's warm tongue on my hand. Opening my eyes, I saw him with his favorite toy, a chewed-up rubber bone, placed carefully by my foot. The only gift. I gripped the bone in my hand, feeling its grooves. "Maybe I haven't lost everything," I murmured, but the words stuck in my throat, bitter. Fulgur barked briefly, questioningly, and I knew even he didn't believe me. But how did I end up like this? Let me tell you, how foolish I was. I was ashamed to admit it, but the truth had to come out, even if only the walls heard it. "You know the story, Fulgur," I murmured, but I'm repeating it for myself. It started with a lottery ticket bought out of boredom at a gas station on the outskirts of town. I was 20, in my second year of law school, living off loans and care packages. Then, one evening, the numbers fell like thunder. 6, 7, 10, 23, 41, 55, 66, 6 million euros. I thought I was dreaming. I drank an entire bottle of vodka to convince myself I was awake, and the next day I gave an interview on television, my eyes bloodshot and my voice hoarse. The young man who conquered luck. The newspapers knew how to write. Everyone called me. Entertainment shows, radio stations, even a podcast about self-made men. I loved seeing people bow to my stories about the intuition with which I had chosen the numbers. I bought that villa immediately. 3 floors, a horseshoe-shaped pool, a hammock between 2 oak trees where I slept drunk under the stars. Friends appeared like mushrooms after the rain. Girls who laughed too hard at my bad jokes, guys who shook my hand as if I were their personal saint. I hosted weekly parties with tables full of caviar and bottles of Dom Perignon smashed in the pool. I dropped out of school without blinking. Why should I struggle? I'm rich now. I ignored my parents' calls when they asked me to come home. Mom, don't you see I'm living the life you dreamed of for me? But the money. Oh God, money melts like snow in the sun when you think you're invincible. I started playing slot machines, just for fun. I bought cars I didn't know how to drive, abstract paintings in which I saw soul, and jewelry for girls whose names I forgot the next day. Friends waved receipts under my nose. Can you help me with a loan? I know you're a good guy. I gave, of course. It was a game, feeling the power to open or close heaven for them. Until one morning, my account stared back at me. Insufficient funds. I thought it was a joke. I sold my Rolex, then the cars, then the paintings. Friends disappeared faster than smoke from a cigarette after you put it out. When I called my mom crying, she said my dad had had a stroke. I looked for you for weeks, and I had given her scene. I spent the last of my money on a train ticket back to my hometown, but when I got to the hospital, it was too late. A simple wooden coffin, my father's cold hand, the only man who had loved me without asking for anything in return, and my mother's gaze, filled with pain but not hatred. "We forgive you," she whispered. I could never forgive myself. I returned to the city where I had been a god, but now I was a beggar. The villa was sold at auction, and I fled to this studio apartment with a suitcase and a dog. Fulgur. The only one who never asked for anything. Now when I close my eyes, I still see the sparks in the pool, the fake laughter, my father's hand reaching out to me on the night I ignored him for a party. Fulgur licks my fingers, and I know I have no right to complain. I chose all of it. I chose to be a god, and gods fall the hardest. The years that followed were silent, like an unspoken prayer. I rose from the dust with my mother's arms around my shoulders, even though I didn't deserve it. I cut old ties with a cold knife, deleted phone numbers, donated clothes, photos burned in a fire that smelled of penance. I returned to the classroom with a bag full of worn-out textbooks and a cold coffee, my only comfort during long nights of studying. The library became my church, a space with high walls where the echo of my footsteps scolded me. Do you have time to make up for it? College was a war with myself. Instead of memorizing articles of code, I learned to read between the lines, to see the loopholes in laws as ghosts dancing around the truth. My brain, trained to calculate odds in gambling, now dissected precedents with a surgeon's precision. I read until my eyes burned, and my fingers stained my notebooks with blue ink. Mom sent packages of cooked food, cabbage rolls wrapped in cabbage leaves, fresh bread, but I ate it cold, staring at files. When I received my license, I knew it was just the first knot in a long rope. I entered the bar like a hungry wolf, taking my place next to an old lawyer with eagle eyes and unwavering ethics. In his office, full of dust from old files, I learned the most valuable thing: to hide the lightning in my eyes. Clients came hoping for miracles, and I offered them dry strategies without false promises. I won cases through technicalities, through commas forgotten in contracts, through the silence of those who believed that laws are walls, not labyrinths. The money came back, but this time I put it in steel cages, savings accounts, safe investments, a small apartment, but mine. I no longer needed trinkets. When I met with my former friends at the courthouse, they extended their hands with a sly smile, but I greeted them politely without looking them in the eye. I knew that I could not buy loyalty, so I no longer wanted it. Mom passed away peacefully, one April morning with her hand on her worn Bible. I cried by her bed, not for her, but because I realized that I had become the man she wanted me to be, but too late for her to see me. I took Fulgur with me to the funeral. He sat by the grave, silent, with his head bowed, as if he understood. Now, when I enter the courtroom, I know that I am invincible not because I have something to prove, but because I have nothing to lose. My office is minimalist. A table, a computer, a drawer with cheap teas. Fulgur sleeps in a corner, old and lazy, but with his ears always perked up. Sometimes when it rains, I feel tingling in my fingers, memories of outstanding debt, of nights when I trembled with fear of losing my studio apartment. Then I open a file, and the world narrows to the words in front of me. My money now goes to nursing homes, to children without parents, to abandoned dogs. Not for atonement, but because I learned that true wealth is not in what you have, but in what you do not let possess you. And when night falls, and Fulgur growls softly in his sleep, I know that I have won the greatest trial. I have judged myself, and I have come out clean. Alex learned that true wealth is not measured in zeros on an account, but in the moments of silence when you realize who stays by your side. And you. Would you risk everything for the luck of a lottery? Would you believe that money can buy loyalty? Or would you choose, like Alex, to play the most difficult trial, the one with yourself? Fulgur remains the symbol of unconditional loyalty, but also of the choices that define us. And now, I want to hear from you. What would you have done in Alex's place? Who is your Fulgur, the person or thing that has never left you? Have you ever believed that money can make you happy? Leave a comment with your answer. If you liked the story, give it a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more dramas that will make you reflect. Activate the bell so you don't miss any moment. Sometimes, losing everything is the only way to gain something that can never be stolen.